Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ty, and this is Ty's Table Talk. I'm here to share my thoughts and opinions on the latest episodes of the reality shows we all love to watch. Now, my thoughts are my thoughts, and the reviews I share are from my perspective. But I can guarantee that at least a few of us are thinking the same things while we're watching these shows. If you're here for the first time, welcome to my channel. If you're a return viewer, thank you so much for joining me again. I want to remind you all to please like, share, and subscribe. If you dig this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to support this channel and its growth. And it also helps to push this video out to others who may enjoy it as well as you. So, y'all, I am here with a whole new review for the Never Ever Mets Season 2, Episodes 9 and 10. And I'm putting these reviews together because I was out of town last weekend and didn't get a chance to review Episode 9. Since then, Episode 10 has already come out. So I just decided to go ahead and consolidate these reviews and go ahead and give them to y'all. So with that said, y'all, pull up a seat, join me at the table, and let's get into this review. So y'all, at the end of episode 8, Brittany and Ty got into it. Brittany felt that Ty did not have her back when they were playing the game about whether or not they were sexually compatible, which caused a big blow up. So in the beginning of episode 9, Brittany is telling the other couple she didn't feel considered during that game. She reluctantly said she and Ty were sexually compatible to basically save face and spare Ty's feelings, knowing good and well she was never feeling him that way, or any way from what I saw. But Ty flat out said that they were not because he's no fool, and he finally admitted to himself that this chick is not feeling him, and now Brittany is basically embarrassed. Jay tells Brittany, look, you don't think Ty has noticed that you're a handsy with all of the other men in this house, but him. She's rubbed up on Chris. She's rubbed up on and even tried to tickle Cinco, who was not with any of it. And Brittany claims she just has a flirty personality and that Jay is just immature. Cinco steps up and confirms that yes, Brittany did try to tickle me. And Brittany says she doesn't remember, but baby, Alexis was like, let me go ahead and refresh your memory. I was standing here, Ty was standing over there, Cinco was sitting here, and you came right on up and tried to tickle him. You did that. Jay tells Brittany that she looks like a promiscuous whore. Brittany starts arguing with Jay about what the word promiscuous means. She accuses Jay of not even knowing the definition of the word. Jay got back with her real quick and was like, I know what it means. Promiscuous equals Brittany. You are the walking, talking, breathing definition chick. Brittany is now heated and says this conversation is stupid and I'm not having this conversation with stupid people. I'm not staying here for all of this. So Jay says, well, you can leave. So at this point, Brittany decides to leave out of the kitchen. She goes on upstairs and she records a video diary cam video in which she says, unless Ty compels me to stay, I'm leaving. Brittany, nobody wants you to stay at this point. I'm like, get your ish, and go. You are on my last nerves with this. This whole I'm a princess and I deserve to be placed on a pedestal and waited on hand and foot and have someone be at my beck and call type of attitude that you're walking around with. Chick, please. You're all up in everybody else's man's face and you've treated Ty like he's dirt up underneath your fingernails. So you truly, truly need to humble yourself because this right here, all of what you're doing all up in this house is not it. You just don't treat people like that, Brittany. It's not right. And if you didn't envision anything with Ty on a romantic level, you should have said that right out of the gate or when you realized things weren't going down that route. Instead of dragging this man on, trying to gaslight him and make him believe he wasn't doing enough. It was you. So go ahead and bounce. Go ahead and leave. Skedaddle. Bye-bye. The next day, Jared tells Charlie he fished out on the dock with the fellas and caught a huge catfish. Good for you, Jared. Cinco and Jay discuss leaving the house together and who will relocate where. Jay has a 4-year-old son who's in school in Chicago, and she doesn't want to disrupt his life by relocating him to Atlanta. Cinco says he's moved a lot when he was a kid and went to a different school every year until he was in high school, which helped him to develop his social skills with different types of people. And it helped him build his character. Jay just is not with it and feels it would be easier for Cinco to relocate to Chicago because he doesn't have kids or really anything else tying him to Atlanta. Now, I don't have any children, but I can understand how difficult it would be to uproot a child and take them away from everything and everybody they know. I also know and have seen how resilient children are. If the concern is about establishing a sense of normalcy, it would be much easier to move while your baby is still young. Because at 4 years old, how much would baby boy actually remember? But also, as far as childcare and all of that goes, if Jay has a familial support in Chicago to help her with that, that's something that would be really hard to find in a new city where the only person you really know is your partner. So I get both sides here. In the next scene, Brittany goes to Ty's room to talk about what happened the night before and the heated exchange they had. They decide to go outside to talk, and Brittany starts the conversation out by telling Ty things are not working between them. She felt like she was being ganged up on by the other Never Ever Mets, and that Ty did not have her back. Ty says he agrees that things are not working. Brittany put her finger all up in Ty's face during their exchange. She's been touching all up on the other guys and flirting with the other men in the house, and Ty was not considered at all. His feelings were not considered whatsoever. Ty doesn't feel Brittany takes any accountability for her actions, so at this point, both Ty and Brittany decide it's best they leave the house. Ty goes back in the house, tells everybody he's out. Brittany goes inside and walks right past the other couples to go upstairs and pack. And Kiki is like, Brittany, you're not going to say goodbye? She does not say a word, y'all, not a word. And she continues to make her way upstairs. In Charlie's confessional, she says she noticed Brittany was not into Ty at all, and she too agrees that they just need to go ahead and leave. Brittany and Charlie say their goodbyes while Brittany packs, and when she does, Charlie sees her off. Ty gathers his belongings, gets into his car to leave, and says during his experience, he's learned he shouldn't neglect himself and his feelings to please someone else. So after he leaves, the remaining couples gather in the kitchen and talk about what their plans are for the rest of the day. Brandon's brother and Kiki's best friend are coming over. And now that Ty and Brittany are gone, the couples take a shot and toast to having good vibes with the remaining 8 folks who are left. At this point, we still have Charlie and Jared, Kiki and Brandon, Jay and Cinco, and Chris and Alexis left at the house. Host Taronda pops up in one of her crazy outfits, y'all, and her hat. Y'all, Taronda will never ever be without something laying upon her head, child. And she asked the couples how they feel about Ty and Brittany leaving. Kiki is sad about it. Of course, Kiki is always sad when somebody leaves. Jay says it was time for them to go. And Jared says this show is about figuring out if the couples are compatible offline, in real life, and well, Ty and Brittany figured out that they weren't, so it is what it is. They're all good with what happened and feel like now the energy in the house is beautiful. Cinco has planned a date for he and Jay so that he can see more of Jay's feminine side. So he takes her to a perfumery so that they can create their own perfume and cologne. Tizzle, the perfume mixologist, starts asking Jay and Cinco what scents they like. Jay likes more of like a brown sugar, vanilla-like scents. Cinco likes more clean scents, like clean linen and dryer sheets. Y'all, personally, I cannot stand vanilla, brown sugar, cookies, that Bath and Body Works type of scent. I don't like it. I'm more like Cinco in that regard. I love clean and fresh smelling scents with like a little musk for warmth. So Tizzle pulls some scents and mixes a little something up. And she has Jay try some and Cinco smell Jay to see what he thinks. Cinco buries his head in the nape of Jay's neck and is like, yep. So I guess that meant he liked it. Tizzle goes out to blend the scents and Jay and Cinco talk. Jay loves this date, y'all. Cinco says he's enjoying it as well, And he doesn't have much cologne in his collection because he doesn't really go anywhere. But once Jay moves to Atlanta, he'll have more places to go and he'll be wearing more cologne. So this leads them back to the conversation about which one of them is relocating where. Jay wants to make sure her son is comfortable, and Cinco says, well, he's a kid. Jay says, you can't keep dismissing my concern because my son is young. There would be a lot for him to have to get adjusted to, but Cinco just is not getting it. So at the end of the day, they both know they're leaving the house together and they agree that they'll figure it out. I'm glad they're having these type of conversations, y'all, and I'm glad that they're having them now because it was tough to go all in with someone, overlook something this important, and end up having to end things when the relationship is turned serious and they're both into it deep. The date ends and they go on back to the house. At the house, Kiki and Brandon are playing cards when Kiki's friend Maya arrives. Jay answers the door and walks Maya in over to Kiki, and Kiki introduces Maya to Brandon. Then Kiki and Maya go off to chit-chat privately. Kiki and Maya have been friends since they were very young, and Kiki says Maya is very protective of her. So Maya asks Kiki who's coming to see Brandon. Kiki says his brother. Maya asks, well, is he younger or older? And Kiki is like, why? She's like, do you want me to hook y'all up or something? You know, she says it jokingly. Then we hear the doorbell ring again. Alexis answers it, and standing there is Christian, Brandon's brother. He introduces himself to Alexis, says she smells awesome, and then he walks right in like he owns the place, y'all. Then he asks, where my brother at? I was like, fool, do you have any manners? That was kind of abrupt. And Alexis was like, dang, well, do you want me to show you around first? I'm telling y'all, this fool walked right in like he knew where he was going, okay? He says, oh, yeah, that's cool. So Alexis makes small talk and asks, where are you from? What state? Christian says, where it look like I'm from. So now I'm thinking this fool is rude and full of himself, okay? He's wearing this extra small light denim jacket, okay? A wife beater and some stonewashed, faded looking black jeans. And baby, had he asked me where he was from, I sure enough would have said, probably a very, very small little town in Mississippi. Okay? Something along those lines because the man lit country as all get out. Alexis guessed Cali, and he says, no, I'm from Alabama, actually. And y'all was thinking, yep, you sure are from Alabama. So once Alexis takes Christian to Brandon, he and Brandon hug. And in Brandon's confessional, he says he and Christian are actually stepbrothers and have been since they were 5 years old. Christian's dad is Brandon's stepfather. And then it all made sense because these two look absolutely nothing alike. Alexis goes to the kitchen and tells Chris how rude Christian is and how he walked up in that house. And Jay says, yeah, he's a lot. And was. He came into that house with a personality as big as a doggone tornado or hurricane or something, y'all. He was doing too much. Kiki and Maya chat in the living room, and Kiki is giving Maya the rundown about their first date with the photo shoot and how Brandon took an issue with Kiki's drinking. At the same time, Brandon and Christian chat outside, and Brandon is giving Christian the rundown about how he doesn't like Kiki's drinking habit. Inside, Kiki tells Maya that Brandon has accused Kiki of being an alcoholic, and outside, Brandon is telling Christian that his mom's ex-husband was a heavy drinker, which caused some traumatic experiences for him. He doesn't want he and Kiki to go down the same road. Brandon says, yeah, I remember that. And I know you had to step up and take care of our younger siblings when you were like 14 and 15 years old, as if you were the parent. Inside, Maya asks Kiki if she's disclosed to Brandon anything about her prior relationship and the overlap between that relationship and Kiki's relationship with Brandon. Y'all, Kiki starts smirking and she's like, I don't want to have to tell him about my ex. Maya is like, so you basically waited for me to come here to tell him? And Kiki says, well, yeah, but it's because you know how to communicate better than I do. Now listen, the next thing Kiki says made me look at her very differently. She says she hopes Brandon has a secret because then it'll make her feel better about what she's been hiding. I'm thinking Kiki is so immature and she has a lot, and I do mean a lot of growing up to do because child, no, this is not it. Kiki tells Maya she's been holding this from Brandon because she doesn't want to lose him. She's already lost her mother, she's lost her ex. Brandon has been a comfort to her, and she doesn't want to lose him too. Maya makes a great point here, though, in saying, well, if you're really that comfortable with them, why can't you tell him about your ex? Yes, Maya. If this person is truly your person, you shouldn't be afraid to let your walls down and tell them anything, regardless of what you feel the consequences may be. If you're secure and comfortable with yourself, your life, and how you've lived it, baby, what is there to hide? But as we've seen so far, we know that's not the case with Kiki. Christian and Brandon wrap up their chat outside and come inside to join Kiki and Maya in the living room. Christian introduces himself to Kiki and Maya. They hug. Then they get into things. And Kiki says she and Brandon are learning a lot more about each other in person. Christian says, like what? And Brandon says he's learned Kiki cares, but she overthinks things. And if it's not her way, it's the highway. He also says he learned about Kiki's issue with alcohol. So Kiki looks like she's a little thrown off. And she's like, my alcohol problem? Brandon told Christian Kiki drinks every single day. So Kiki says, well, yes, we're in this house and everybody drinks. It's the situation that we're in. If you were on a cruise, would you drink every day on the cruise? Christian says, well, yes. Kiki says, exactly. That's all it is. Kiki asks Maya how much she thinks Kiki drinks. And Maya says, well, no more than a social drinker. She tells Brandon Kiki does not typically drink every day. And Brandon is taking it all in. Then Maya says, I hear a little hypocrisy here because don't you drink? Now, y'all, Maya looks like she has indulged in a little something herself, a drink or two or something before she arrived to this house because the way her eyes are becoming a little slanty here in this moment. The whites of her eyes were a little bit bloodshot. So, y'all, I don't know. It didn't look like her mind was completely clear, if you know what I'm saying. Brandon says, yeah, but I drink to my limit. Christian says to Brandon, look, bruh, given the circumstance, maybe you should have a little leniency. Again, Brandon is taking it all in, and I feel like Brandon has been somewhat lenient with Kiki during their time in his house. He even let his hair down a little, so to speak, during the couple's group outing to Topgolf and indulged in taking shots and whatnot. He just doesn't go overboard and drink in excess to the point where he's falling off of stools and ottomans and whatnot like Kiki has. So after this, Christian mentions the trust issues Brandon has with Kiki because prior coming into this house, Brandon attempted to meet Kiki in person 4 times, y'all. And all 4 times Kiki flaked on Brandon and never showed up. Kiki says, well, that's excessive. And child, everything about Christian is excessive and extra. She says, I have an explanation for that. The reason I never showed up is because I was still in a relationship with my ex and we were living together. Y'all, both Brandon and Christian are looking like, I know you effing lying. Kiki goes on to say that she and the ex have since broken up and haven't had any communication since the beginning of the year. Brandon wants clarification and asks if the ex is the reason Kiki didn't show all 4 times. She says, yes, most of those times, but also I just wasn't ready. You weren't ready because you were still with the ex. Hello. Brandon is hot, y'all. I mean hot. He's so hot, he's smiling, okay? Have y'all ever been so pissed off about something that all you can really do is smile and laugh because it's like you're mad, but also it's like you knew something was off? That's what's going on here with Brandon. And in his confessional, he says Kiki waited until now to tell me about this ex. This is downright disrespectful. Christian asks Kiki how long she was with the ex, and she says, about 8 years. Christian and Brandon's reaction was like, hell nah. Kiki turns to Brandon and says, you can't tell me that in 4 years you haven't messed around with anybody. Brandon says, I have not. Kiki says, well, I can't believe that. Brandon says, you can't believe that because you were still with your ex. Kiki, baby, it is possible that a man can be focused on one person at a time, okay? I know that's not what you're used to dealing with because you've told us your ex was a habitual cheater. But there are absolutely men out there that know what they want, have self control, and can remain focused on one woman. Brandon was that for you, but you're so insecure about yourself, you can't see that. So now you're trying to project your bad behavior onto him. And girl, no, that's not even right. Maya asks Brandon how he feels about Kiki's secret, and he point blank says that's a deal breaker. In Kiki's confessional, she says she thought Brandon would just be like, okay, thank you for telling me, and that he'd be cool with it, and that they would just continue on in their relationship. So now she's regretting even telling him at all. Girl, you should have been upfront and told him from jump, period. All of these secrets, all of you never ever mess have and are holding the string full along, and then you want to pop up and reveal them on this show when y'all have had years, in most of y'all's cases, to come clean is ludicrous to me, okay? It's crazy. Maya says, y'all have some things to talk about, and Christian seconds that. Kiki says, I think we can work past it. So the visit, y'all, is over now. Brandon walks Christian out. Kiki walks Maya out. And on the way, she tells Brandon to do her friend right because she can be right back to the house as soon as she can find a babysitter. And Maya, girl, goodbye and good night. You need to find Kiki a babysitter, okay? Because she's acting like a straight up child with this man. So after Maya and Christian leave, Brandon talks to Alexis in the living room about what just happened. Alexis also cannot believe that Brandon hasn't talked to or been with any other women in the 4 years he's been online dating Kiki. Kiki is in the kitchen running everything down to everyone else. Jay also cannot believe that Brandon hasn't messed with anybody else in 4 years, but Jay was also the chick who previously slept with 2 different people within a 24-hour period. So, I mean, there's that. Kiki, look at who you're getting advice from, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Alexis is asking Brandon why he never stepped out because there was no commitment. Brandon says, yes, there was a commitment and I was committed. After these conversations, everybody congregates back in the kitchen and Kiki is standing at the island making a plate of food, asking Brandon if he's good. Brandon is also making his plate and says, I'm good. Then he grabs his food and he leaves. The next morning, Cinco and Jay see Kiki in the kitchen and ask how she slept. She says she tossed and turned all night. While Brandon and Kiki were getting along, they were sleeping downstairs on the couch, cuddled up, but after what transpired the night before, Kiki ended up sleeping all by herself upstairs. Aw, poor baby. Cinco explains to Kiki that the reason Brandon is upset is because the whole situation with the ex is what prevented them from meeting up for 4 years. For the 4 times Brandon tried to meet her in person. He had been trying to extend some grace to Kiki, thinking the reason she kept canceling on him was because she had something serious come up and that she had been living alone, doing her thing the whole time. Come to find out, it was because it was behind her ex. And well, again, Brandon felt disrespected. I'm so glad Cinco went ahead and broke it down for this girl because the night before, it seemed like she could not understand Brandon's frustration. But now, hearing it from Cinco, who has been like a big brother in the house to Kiki, it made it all make sense to her. Kiki now says she could see how she was wrong. So Brandon and Kiki eat breakfast together in the game room, and he asked her why she waited so long to tell him her secret. She said she didn't want to shake the table by dropping that bomb. It never felt like the perfect time. And Brandon says any time would have been the perfect time. So now Brandon is explaining directly to Kiki why he's upset, and the ex is a deal breaker for him. So now Kiki is getting defensive like, you have a million deal breakers. Brandon says, look, it's about what I'm willing to put up with in my life. Kiki says, well, you don't talk, you don't listen, and you're blaming me for everything that's not working between us. but you have flaws too. Brandon says the only thing outside of this that I was upset about was the drinking issue, but I fell back on that and let it go. Kiki doesn't feel like he did. So Brandon says, look, do you just want to end this right now? And Kiki says, in the conversation? And Brandon says, no, end this with you and I. Kiki gets real quiet, y'all. And Brandon says, listen, I'm just going to go eat my breakfast in peace. So he grabs up his plate and goes to eat outside. And y'all, that was the end of episode 9. Episode 10 picks up with 2 days left for the 4 remaining couples in the house. It's morning and everybody is talking about decision day. Charlie is confused about she and Jared's relationship. Chris is over all of it. He just wants to focus on his relationship with Alexis, and Cinco believes Chris and Alexis will leave together, but says Brandon and Kiki are headed for Splitsville. Same as Irvin and Alicia, Tatiana and Clevassier, and Ty and Brittany. Jay predicts that the only couple leaving this house together will be she and Cinco. Charlie says up until 3 days ago, she was sure she was leaving the house with Jared, but now she's very uncertain. I feel like she knows it's not going to work between she and Jared, but she's leaving everything in Jared's hands. Kiki and Brandon go on a second date. Kiki has planned the date for them this round at Dave and Buster's. She says because the relationship has been tense and Brandon has been moping around like a kid, she decided to take him to play some games. Okay, Kiki, I see what you did there. So they get to Dave and Buster's. They're having fun and playing games and whatnot. But all Brandon can think about is Kiki's ex. Jared and Charlie go on their second date, planned by Charlie, and she's decided they're going to go have a picnic out in nature. She really wants to get to the bottom of things and find out where Jared's head is at. Girl, I can tell you where his head is at, okay? It's on leaving out that door without you. After hearing about those kids, Jared was good and checked out. He got everything he wanted from you once y'all hit that boom boom room, and child, that was enough for him. He is good. On their date, Jared says he was starstruck when he finally saw Charlie in person during their pottery date. She was much prettier in person. And Charlie says when she first saw and touched Jared, she felt like she was right where she needed to be. Charlie asked Jared, do you remember when I sent you your Xbox, then got your name tattooed on me? I was thinking, girl, you bought him an Xbox and got his name tattooed on you? But what has he done for you in return? What has he done for you lately? Listen, Jared knew what he had in Charlie before he got to that house. A woman who was willing to do just about anything to be with him. He knew he had the upper hand. Charlie initially told Jared she got the tat as a best friend tat, but now admits she loved Jared when she did that. And she wanted him to take her seriously, so she got the tat. Jared says it was the tattoo that made him take her seriously. And red flag, red flag, red flag. Okay? If he had to do all of that to get this man who was supposed to have been interested in you to actually see some serious relationship potential in you, then this is not the man for you. And Charlie, I get you did that as a gesture to show Jared how serious you were about him. But if you had to do all of that and he wasn't willing or able to just take your word for it, even though you say your bond with him is stronger than Gorilla Glue, then baby, leave that man where he is. It should not take all of that. And if he were really into you like that, it would not have taken for you to do all of that to get him to take you seriously. But I digress. Now, Jared was supposed to have gotten a tattoo of Charlie's name, but says it just never happened. Because you never had any real intention to do so. Then he tells Charlie, you're my best friend. And he left it at that. No follow up with like, you're my best friend and the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with, or you're my best friend and the person I want by my side is my partner. There was nothing. So Charlie says, okay, you see me as a best friend, but do you see me as anything more? Because I want you as my man. Back at Dave and Buster's, Kiki and Brandon are done playing games, so now they're sitting down at a booth getting ready to eat. Brandon asks Kiki what she thought of their first date, and she says she wanted him to like her, and she wanted to make sure that she liked him. And she did. Brandon says he was shocked when they played that game out on the lawn with Rhonda, when she was out there showing all of her thigh meat and hip meat, y'all. The game they played about how well you know your partner. Kiki pretty much answered all of the questions about Brandon correctly, and Brandon thought, wow, Kiki's really been paying attention this entire time. He said his favorite part about all of this was meeting Kiki for the first time, and when he saw her, he thought she was his future. But now he's not sure. He has trust issues. Back at the picnic, Jared says, I can tell you what a yes looks like to me about leaving this house together. I find a job in Texas, but I'd be leaving my son behind. A no to me looks like we leave separately, but we still get to know each other long distance and not put any labels or expectations on what we have going on right now. Let's just keep it as us being best friends. Charlie says initially she wanted to leave this house with Jared, but now she doesn't know. She says, I'm fighting for this relationship and you're not. Jared says, you're my best friend. And Charlie says, stop friend zoning me. So she gets up, says that she needs a moment, then walks away. And she goes to sit on a bench that's close by, and she's sitting there by herself and starts crying, y'all. Jared gives her a moment, then he gets up and goes to sit next to her on the bench. And in his confessional, he says he never wanted to make Charlie cry. However, he is satisfied with the way this conversation just went because he said everything he's been wanting to say. And I know that this is not going to change Charlie. He basically said, let's be friends with some benefits, but I'm not trying to be anything more. I believe Charlie is really realizing that now, and it hurts, and I can empathize with her. But baby girl, he's doing you a favor, trust me, because this man's intentions are not pure and may not have ever been. Now on this bench, he's hugging Charlie, calling her his soulmate. So I can see how Charlie is confused, but at the same time, I can also see the actor in Jared. He's got a nice guy persona, but y'all, that's it. It's just a persona. But he is not kind. If he were, he would not be stringing Charlie along, giving her all of these mixed signals, period. Charlie says she's ready to go. She's done with this conversation. So they leave and their date is over. Back on over to Dave and Buster's, y'all. Brandon is questioning everything with Kiki after she revealed her secret about this ex. Kiki says she's done with the ex. She can see things working out with Brandon if things continue to progress. At the end of the day, they both say they have some more thinking to do about this relationship. So this date ends and they head on back to the house. Back at the house, Charlie and Alexis talk about Charlie's date. Alexis says, you say Jared checks all of your boxes, but what boxes is he checking exactly? Charlie says, well, Jared treats me better than any other man has ever treated me. And to me, that's not saying a lot about the other man in your past if you feel Jared is as good as it's gonna get. Charlie admits that Jared could be giving her his bare minimum, and he is, girl. And she's just not taking in all the signs. Like, she's taking it as if he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. She's almost at a no about leaving this house with him because Jared has admitted to her that in the past, he's learned his women, okay? He's adapted to be what they wanted him to be. And he claims he didn't do that with her. But she's starting to realize that maybe that isn't the truth because he appears to be everything she wanted. And Alexis says, yeah, he's claiming to be himself with you because he knows you'll accept all of his bullshit. And Charlie says, well, is that good or bad? And Alexis says, that's bad. And shout out to you, Alexis, for dropping this gem on Charlie. Charlie, Alexis ain't ever lied, baby, okay? She ain't never lied. She's giving it to you straight up. Heed this warning, child. Alexis says, look, let him go, and if he comes back, then you'll know how he feels. If he doesn't, you'll know everything he's told you is BS. In this next scene, the Never Ever Met sit down for their last dinner in the house. They're asking each other what they're going to miss most about being in the house. And Jay says, sleeping next to Cinco every day. Charlie says she was glad she got to meet Jared in person for the first time and that the other couples were there to witness it and give her feedback. Had it just been these two meeting in person, things would have been a little different, but being able to hear everyone else's perspective really gave her some insight. Kiki says she feels like they're all family at this point. She's enjoyed the experience and learned a lot about herself and would do it all over again 10 times if she could. Now, because most of the couples have been in the boom boom room, nobody wants to go to that intimacy suite without wearing a hazmat suit. And I say that's valid, okay? Because did anybody ever go in there and clean it? Was the bedding ever washed up? Were the sheets ever changed? Child, no thank you. Chris and Alexis have yet to even see the inside of that boom boom room. So tonight, Alexis says she and Chris will be taking a tour. Then Chris gets this look on his face like, we are? All of the men start randomly laughing, and Alexis is like, why are y'all laughing? Then in pops host to Rhonda to let everyone know it's their last night in the house and the last time seeing her randomly pop up wearing one of those big bucket hats, y'all. She asks how everyone is feeling. Cinco and Jay say they are solid. Alexis and Chris say they're grateful for the experience. Charlie says coming into the house, she was on a high, but the last few days have been very difficult, and tonight she has a lot to think about. Jared follows up with the whole, that's my friend BS, okay? Ugh. Go on somewhere, sir. Go on. Kiki says, we'll see what tomorrow brings, and Brandon says, we shall see. Toronto reminds everyone that tomorrow is decision day, tells them to have fun tonight, to enjoy their night, and wishes them luck. She leaves, and the dinner is now over. The couples all gather in the living room, and y'all, this would not be the Never Ever Met's house if they didn't play one last game. And I am over these games. It brings nothing but drama. So this is another game for the couples to learn more about their partners and to see how well they already know one another. This time, they're all given paddles. One side red, the other side green. And they're going to ask each other questions. And if the answer is yes, they hold up the green side of the paddle. If the answer is no, they hold up the red side of the paddle. The goal is for both partners to answer these questions the same. So Chris starts it off by asking if arguing in relationships is healthy. They all answer yes. The next question is, do you want children? Or if you already have children, do you want more? Everyone says yes except Charlie and Jared. They both understandably say no. They already have a football team between the both of them, so I get it. The next question is, would you be willing to share your password with your partner? Kiki and Brandon both say no. Cinco says yes, but Jay says no, there's no need to. You either believe me and what I say or you don't. Brandon says no because it shows lack of trust in your partner. I agree with that to a degree, but also for me, not being willing to share your password says you're hiding something. I don't know, y'all. If I ask my partner for his password and he's willing to give it to me, I'd probably just throw it in the trash and burn it or not think twice about it because that simple gesture to me lets me know that this man is open and that he's not hiding anything and that I can trust him. And there's no need for me to be going through his phone. If he says no, I'm automatically going to have my guard up, just as a reflex. You get me? Because I'm human. So the next question was, do you believe in monogamy? Everybody answers yes, with the exception of Jared. He says monogamy goes against human nature. Charlie takes a sip of wine on that one. And in her confessional, she says Jared's answer makes sense because this fool cannot commit to anybody. Jared goes into more detail, saying he's faithful when he's with one person, but relationships don't last forever. Everyone is confused as hell, as am I, because this man is speaking in circles here. He acts like he doesn't know what monogamy means. And Jared, honey, you know, Monogamy is being faithful to one partner and one partner only, whether that relationship lasts 5 months or 5 decades. He's trying to say, well, nothing lasts forever, so I'm faithful during the relationship, but I know it won't last. Man, please. Just say you don't want to be with one partner and call it a day, okay? All of this extra stuff, it doesn't make any sense. It's not needed. Alexa says, so basically you're faithful in your relationships, but when you're tired, you just move on and that's it. Jared basically says, yes, and it could go both ways. Jared, it's about your intention, period. Like, you knew your intention with Charlie coming to this house was to hit it and quit it, and that's it. The secrets about these kids just solidified it for you. If you go into a relationship like that, then of course it's not going to last. You know that was not Charlie's intention with you, and that's where you messed up, bruh. Being deceitful, trying to look like the nice guy, when in reality, you're not kind, and you're ending up looking like an asshole anyway. Jared says he's a rather have loved and lost person rather than a never to have loved at all person. And that's how he lives his life. Jared, you're a I want what I want, and once I get it, I'm gone type of person. And that's how you live your life, bruh. Period. So now the game is over, and Alexis grabs a bottle of champagne and her man so they can go on and head over to this boom boom room. Alexis says Chris was with it at first, but now all of a sudden his mood has changed and he's backing out. He tells Alexis, look, we have a lot to think about. We have a big decision to make tomorrow. And at this particular time, I'm still unsure. So after this, everybody goes to sleep. Cinco and Jay go to bed together. Everyone else goes to bed alone. The next morning, everyone is up and packing to go home. And Charlie says Jared came into her room in the middle of the night, apologizing, kissing all up on her, and that none of this makes sense to her. This doesn't make sense to me either. And Jared, you know what? Honestly, you're really quite disgusting for all of this. For everything that you're doing to this girl, it's disgusting. So everyone's anxiety is up. They're all nervous, but they eat their last breakfast in the kitchen before they make their decisions. After breakfast, Kiki and Brandon have their talk. Brandon tells Kiki it's best they leave separately. The secret about Kiki's ex and the reason why she stood Brandon up the 4 times he attempted to meet her in person is what did it for him. And now he feels they both need to go and heal from their past traumas. Kiki agrees. She says she came into the house thinking Brandon was one way, but then she was disappointed by Brandon's reactions to things. She felt like she was walking on eggshells the whole time, that Brandon is moody. She felt alone a lot of the time in the house, and their values do not align right now. I can see that, but also, Kiki, you were not shaded with Brandon about your ex, which is huge. And you cannot start off a relationship holding these types of secrets. Now, I personally didn't see where Brandon was moody, and I don't feel his reactions were crazy. He was very reasonable, but y'all are just in 2 different places in your lives, and I agree this was not a good fit. At least not right now. There's a lot of growth that needs to take place, and particularly there's a lot of growth that needs to come from Kiki. Outside, Chris and Alexis have their chat. Chris says he's prayed about his decision, thought about the good and the bad, and they both have some growing up to do. Alexis says the first week was a lot, but that Chris is a nice guy and she appreciates his honesty, and going forward, she will be more mindful. Chris says this process helped him see things about himself, not to let his past determine his future, and he feels he and Alexis can withstand a lot together. So, with Alexis's blessing, he wants to leave this house with Alexis. And y'all, I was truly, truly surprised. Most of the time, I was sure Chris was going to try to chuck up the deuces and bounce. But I think that boxing date kind of shifted things. I wasn't sure if that was going to be enough to have him leave that house with Alexis, but it seems that it was. And I am actually happy for them. At the end of the day, even though Alexis was doing way too much when they first got to that house, I feel she's eased up. I feel like she's softened a little bit and she's allowed Chris to be the lead. She's kind of allowed Chris to be the man and she's falling back a little bit. And I like that. I like what I'm seeing there. Inside, Kiki and Brandon grab their belongings to leave. They tell everyone they're leaving the house separately and they say their goodbyes. Brandon grabs his bags, says, "You're on your own now. We ain't together no more." Then he leaves without even helping Kiki with her luggage. And y'all, Kiki was struggling with them bags, okay? The other couples are like, "Damn, that's crazy. He just left her." In Brandon's confessional, he says he realizes he and Kiki are not compatible. At the car, Kiki asks Brandon, "Well, are you going to say goodbye?" Brandon says, "Adios," and hops his happy ass into the backseat of that Suburban. No hug, no nothing. He feels Kiki basically wasted his time. Kiki drives off in the backseat of her Suburban, and she looks so sad, y'all. She looks so, so sad. The next couple to leave is Jay and Cinco, and of course, they're leaving in the same car. Cinco is ready to build on what they already have in the real world. They say they're in love, and they leave with smiles on both of their faces. Alexis and Chris leave next. They tell Jared and Charlie they're leaving together, and Jared is like, "You are? Wow, okay, all right." So they say their goodbyes and they leave. Alexis says she's planning to relocate to Dallas to be with her man, Christopher. Go ahead, Alexis. In the words of Chris, to be continued. Charlie and Jared are the only two in the house now, and they go talk outside and sit at the same table they sat at when they revealed their secrets about these secret babies. Back where all the BS started, they're sitting in the same spots. Jared finally takes his mask off and tells Charlie he is not leaving the house with her. He says Charlie deserves someone who's all in on her, and he's not able to be that. Charlie tells Jared that he wasted her time. He told her what she wanted to hear. He was not honest. She was about him, and he was not about her. It was one-sided out the gate, and that she deserves better. Jared says, "Absolutely, and I know you'll find that one day." Y'all, what an asshole. Charlie says, "You know what? I have nothing left to say." So they get up and go back inside. Jared says, "I hope one day you'll see this is coming out of love." Charlie says, "Okay, Jared." Like she's over it. Charlie says that she is heartbroken. Jared admits Charlie fell victim to Jared and his ways. He thought Charlie would be able to change him, but she wasn't. Charlie says Jared was not trying to protect her at all. He wasn't honest about how he felt, about her secret with these kids. He made her think everything was good when it wasn't, and she wasn't forcing anybody to be with her. They get back in the house, grab their luggage, and go and walk out to the Suburbans. Charlie gets in the back of her Suburban, and Jared says, "I love you, Charlie." And y'all, she just sits there speechless. Doesn't say a word, doesn't change the expression on her face. She's just done. Then her car pulls away. Jared gets into the back seat of his Suburban. His Suburban pulls off. And y'all, that was the end of episode 10. I cannot say I'm super surprised by how all of this ended. I didn't expect Chris and Alexis to leave together, but I can see them working out. If they can continue on this trajectory of healing and not letting the past dictate the future and all of that, and continue to consider one another, I feel like they can make it. Cinco and Jay seem solid from the get-go, and well, the other couples, I wasn't surprised at all by the way it all ended for them. So, out of 7 couples, 2 left together and the others bit the dust. And we'll get to see how things turned out after they left this house at the reunion, which airs this Friday on OWN. I will be reviewing the reunion, so y'all make sure to come back for my review on that. But y'all, that's the end of this review for the Never Ever Mets, Season 2, Episodes 9 and 10. I'm going to go ahead and give y'all my predictions right now. I predict a plot twist at this reunion with Jay and Cinco. I don't know why, but I just feel that they've broken up and maybe it has something to do with where they're going to live. And I predict that Chris and Alexis are still together. I think that they have what it takes to go the distance. Like I said, if they're able to consider one another and stay on the same trajectory that they were on when they left that house. So we will see. Y'all comment down below and let me know what you thought of these episodes and who y'all think are broken up and who may still be together. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, y'all, stay safe, stay blessed, and don't forget to tell someone you love them today, even if you only tell yourself. Love y'all. Peace.